Hey guys, what's up? My name's EarthBound12 and welcome to part 38 of Let's Play EarthBound. In this episode we are going to be going through Stonehenge base, and in between episodes I did a little bit of grinding, basically because I wanted to prepare myself for this dungeon, mainly because, well, this dungeon is a pain in the ass when you have to conserve PP, and yeah, it's not very good to deal with because there's a whole lot of enemies that are heavily weak to PSI, and it is very PSI intensive, and you're going to be fighting a lot of them, so, like these starmen. For the most part, they don't really bother you that much. I prefer to use Freeze, Paula, Heavy Bazooka with Jeff, which we actually got off screen. I advise going to like Tender Village or Satin Valley because that is an area with free hotel services, so you can sleep and Jeff can go and fix his stuff when you get to 45 IQ with Jeff. And then it just makes your life a lot easier because these Heavy Bazooka is sort of like the super bombs, but it's an unlimited supply of them, and they do a fairly hefty amount of damage. Phone call. I don't even know how you can get reception down this far. But anyway, where was I? Also, it is a good idea to probably stock up on some brain food lunches or magic truffles and various condiments to conserve your PP when you need PP, because chances are you're going to need to recover PP on multiple occasions down here due to the various number of enemies down here. Anywho, I'm going to leave this battle in because it's a Mook Senior, and just to recap what they do, they like to use fire, they like to use freeze, they probably can use thunder as well, but if they hit whoever the hell has the, the Franklin badge, it'll just reflect right back at him, and it's just, yeah. The Starmen themselves, I think they can use certain PSI attacks. They like to use Magnet, and half the time they don't even attack at all, and pretty much they go out in one hit anyway. It's probably a good idea to be about level 50 at least, or around level 50s to 60s, a little bit under level going into this area. It's basically because of the mass amount of enemies and the time it takes to kill them. A shield beta, which is a very good thing because it will protect us from PSI attacks. And that is always handy for later boss fights in this game because they do like to use PSI quite a fair bit. Anyway, and this dungeon as a whole is quite easy, I think. Well, it's not too difficult, and if you come in prepared, but it can be kind of tedious and long. I think it's one of the longer dungeons in the game, correct me if I'm wrong. It did take me 25.5 minutes to record this, but then again I do have a crap ton of battles that I have to get rid of. Luckily I managed to dodge that diamond thing, whatever it was. Probably Mook Senior and I probably would have gotten diamondized. And also the main thing on how to traverse yourself through this maze, it's probably the best idea to do is head as far down and as far right as you can. You can't really go wrong. You'll get yourself through this maze rather quickly. Head up here, you get a guts capsule. It's not really wasn't really worth the trip. If it was an IQ capsule perhaps, because my next IQ goal with Jeff is 55 because we can get a better weapon for him. Even though there's one that you can get with like 60 something IQ, but I doubt we'll get the weapon because it's a 1 in 128 item. Speaking of 1 in 128 items, there is a 1 in 128 item in this dungeon that you might want to keep on the lookout for. Oh, I forgot about these things anyway, so we might as well leave this in. These are the, I can't remember what they're called now. I think it's just, they explode on you. That's basically the whole point of them. We'll get the name of it in a second because I'm just having a mental blank here. The main thing you're going to want to do when you fight these things, basically because they explode, is to take these things down last. They're probably less threatening than the Mooks anyway. Basically, because the Mooks, well, the Octobot things, they're not the Octobots, they are an enemy here, I believe, the Octobots. Nonetheless, oh shit, that PSI freeze. Atomic Power Robot, they like to heal you. And Jeff is almost dead, so we're going to have to use PSI life up here. And that smash attack was quite good. The main thing is, they like to heal up their counterparts or themselves. And Jeff has died here, and that's kind of, well, embarrassing. This is kind of an embarrassing battle because I just do really stupid things here. Anyway, the best thing you want to do is to take down the Mook Senior first, or the Starman, or the Octobot, or whatever the hell have you. Whatever its counterparts are, take them down first, and then focus your attention on them. will try to heal your little buddies or their little buddies because they are complete assholes and cheap. It does make life a little bit annoying, but if you are quick enough to the buzzer, they will take them out. And as you know, with the scrolling HP system with EarthBound, that it is probably a good idea to let them explode last, and you'll take minimal damage from the explosion, as opposed to pretty much a guarantee, or a near guarantee, of getting killed. As you can see here, 296, 139, 81 damage, and that gets drastically reduced because the battle ends and the scrolling HP thing stops. It's quite a nice little HP bonus there. But those things are kind of a pain in the ass, especially when paired with the Mook Seniors, as you saw there. They're probably what I would consider to be the most threatening enemies, the Mook Seniors, just basically because of their PSI freeze skills and their ability to diamondize you, even though I think Ness actually has PSI healing Gamma or Omega now, which will allow us to heal diamondization. It also allows us to heal death. So that will make life a little bit easier in cases of death, but it does drain up quite a bit of PP. Who learnt Life Up Gamma, that is also very valuable. It might take some of the healing skills of Ness and just sort of make things a little bit easier in case of enemies. Also, when you're fighting the Starmen, it's also a good idea to be about a third of the screen away from them and let them just come at you, as you just saw there. Yeah, as you saw there with the previous thing, with the Starman being about a third of the screen away and just teleporting into you, the reason being is you'll get a first strike on them, and they are pretty good experience as well. To discuss this maze itself, well, not really, because I'm going to be probably in a fight in a second. Yeah, here we go, red swirly thing, that's no good. Those atomic power robots are so much easier when you actually aren't fighting Mook Senior with it. Anyway, this dungeon itself looks pretty neat actually, with the whole neon pulsating spacey stuff. I don't actually know if it's really like that underground. I'd have to dig a big hole in my backyard one day and find out. I highly doubt it is. It'll probably just be a whole bunch of dirt and crap. Maybe some tree roots. I do have a nice vast tree outside there. Anyway, I think we're almost through this main area of this place. Running into these enemies is starting to get a bit annoying, honestly, but fortunately for us, we're almost out of here. This is a good thing though, because I was kind of a little bit on the underleveled side before I came in here, but now I am much stronger. And that is actually the end of the first half of this area, the neon pulsating lights area. Now we're going to go into this little master room thing and fight a new enemy, the Starman Super. How are you going to fight these things? Use the neutralizer with Jeff, and do not use PSI on them until you have used the neutralizer. For the love of God, please don't do it. It will end in pain and crying and death. And I'm not cleaning that up at all. Just, you know, clean up your own mess, viewers, because, you know, use the friggin' neutralizer is what I'm trying to say. But after the neutralizer has been used, just go nuts and just treat them as if they were a normal Starman. Or Starman, sorry. We are fighting one Starman Super. And as you can see, they just treat him as normal. Also, they are the only enemy that drops Pooh's item, the Sword of Kings, which is a 1 in 128 chance of getting. And all I'm going to say here is, if you're going to do it, expect to spend a long time on it, because it is a pain in the ass to grind for. I'm not bothering with it here, and basically because I don't think it makes too much of a difference in making the game any easier anyway, and most of the time I just use Pooh's PSI, so it's just not really worth me hanging around for 5 hours trying to get. But essentially what you're going to want to do is just sit around here just camp here for hours, and you can't actually come back here afterwards, basically because, well, it won't end well. If you try to come back, and you'll notice that they are gone. You can only fight these enemies before you take on the boss, so make sure you get it here and get it now. Even though, also another reason I don't really want to do it is because I don't really want to be too hyper overleveled, because this game is easy enough as it is, and I do like to have a bit of a challenge when I do play these games, especially these easy-ish RPGs. You should probably know that by now anyway. I was kind of like that with Pokemon. It was just way too easy. This game isn't very much harder than Pokemon Pokemon games anyway. It's not a very difficult game at all, especially when you know your strategies. I think that's the big difference between EarthBound and many other games. If you know the right strategies and how to take out the certain enemies, this game isn't very hard at all when you think about it. Yes, given there is a couple of hard areas like the department store and Pizza Rest Valley, and probably to a lesser extent the place with all the Ranboobs. But overall, it isn't that bad at all. Pretty much the point of my rant there. And before I start this rant, I'm going to fight these enemies. You know what I miss? Buzz. He was a champion. We wouldn't have had to have dealt with these Starmen because they were... Buzz would have just absolutely destroyed them, even though he was kind of weaker than we are now. And he was fighting Starmen Juniors, and Pokey was weighing me down. I could have took on those Starmen anyway. It does sort of remind me a bit of the Buzz sequence with all these Starmen. But overall, nowadays, these Starmen are really no threat. We have come a long way in this game from when we had to have Pokey weighing us down and fighting our own battles for him, and we had a B from the future. But alas, Buzz is no more, and we are going to dedicate our livelihood, or this episode of EarthBound, to going up ladders. No. The bloodshed of all the Starmen and Starmen Supers in this episode has been dedicated to Buzz. Why? Because he protected us from that night where the meteors fell, and he told us when the Earth was going to be fucked. So let's take a 10-minute silence, well, not a 10-minute silence, probably about a 3-second silence to remember Buzz. And Exit Mice. God, we love Exit Mice. God bless them. But anyway, this is actually the final room where any real relevance to anything, or that has enemies. You might want to pick up an Exit Mouse on the way out, because otherwise you're going to be having to walk your way all the way back through all this dungeon, even though there won't be any enemies going back, and it's just not so bad. It's just very tedious. Broken Trumpet, when fixed, will turn into the Defense Shower, which is a very good item. We're going to give that to Jeff, so he can fix that in his own time when we actually can do that. There's also another item, the Broken Harmonica, you can get in here, which is also very useful, because that will turn into Jeff's next weapon upgrade at 55 IQ when you fix that up, and is significantly more dangerous than the Death Ray at just absolutely annihilating things. There's also a Pixie's Bracelet, which probably would be best used on Baller. The Harmonica, I think, is up if you go up the top a bit further, but I think I actually just skipped that, so I probably will have to come back off screen and pick that up in our own time. Yes, we do. If you go up the top path, that's sort of how you get to there. I'll probably come back in my own time and do that, as I said here. And what the hell is going on here? Why is Apple Kid, Mr. T, and Dr. Ando Nuts in a test tube? Are they going to be using this for human experimentation? I don't like where this is going. Anyway, probably be a good idea to max out your PP, or try to get as close to it. Try to recover your PP to a big status, a better status. The Apple of Enlightenment, and don't underestimate Starman. And this is the boss of the area, the Starman Deluxe. This thing is kind of a pain in the ass, to be honest with you. Make sure you use the neutralizer first, because any attempt of Paula using PSI Shield Beta is just gonna be a waste, or Sigma is just gonna be a waste of time, even though I actually just did that there anyway, and can't remember which worked first. So my PSI Shield just went kaputski, and I totally forgot about it. And they can call for help. They can also, I believe, use PSI Starstorm. As you know, that thing is dangerous. And that was a stupid mistake on my part. But anyway, these guys do go down quite easily if you know how to take them out. That is the main reason why I suggest investing in buying as many brain food lunches as you can, just because this place as a whole, as you noticed, is quite intensive on PP. And chances are you're going to be out of PP by this stage, and it's going to be a very difficult thing. Fortunately, I also had a multi-bottle rocket in hand, so I can just absolutely fuck up everything in sight. As you see here, 426, 373, 297, and 360. Just pretty much everyone in my party would have been KO'd by that hit, but that was kind of my fault anyway. Unfortunately, this multi-bottle rocket just takes it out in the nick of time, and everyone else dies except for Ness. That was a good thing. I think Ness was going to survive on 1 health, and Ness just gets all the experience to himself. Even though I don't really like that at all, I would have rather Jeff or Pooh get the experience because they are still quite underleveled in comparison. But anyway, as you can see here, the Starman Deluxe has been killed, and now just we're having a massive earthquake as a result. Is here continental drift? Probably not, but we had a thingy, and probably those test tube things aren't going to be working anymore. As you can see here, PSI healing gamma can cure death, but it doesn't heal them to full health. I think it only heals them halfway. So you're going to have to waste more PP trying to use life up, and it doesn't actually have a 100% chance of working, as you can see there as well. But anyway, let's go through here and see if everyone has been rescued, because that will make my day. There's a Mr. Saturn. There was a Mr. Saturn here as well, who gave us the Saturn ribbon, which we'll probably give to Paula. 7% chance, how could you calculate that? Also, he talks about where to find the Overcoming Shyness book, which is in the ONET library, so we're going to be doing that next time. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys then. Good night, everyone.